Okay, so we've now had a few days to test the new PvP changes, experience the Part 2 characters. We got the Saiyan Saga, Kaioken Goku, and Vegeta, and we have the new Tien and the Nappa, who actually also brings a pretty interesting mechanic to the game with the summoning mechanic. That's just what I'll call it. I'll call it the summoning mechanic, because I imagine we'll probably get some new characters moving forward that also have summon mechanics. But obviously the big allure of Part 2 here is just the addition of the dynamic area battles, aka ground battles, the overdrive mechanic, overcharge mechanic. We got like the super tackles. A lot of different things have changed with the game. This is certainly the biggest change we've ever seen all at the same time implemented here. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on what you guys are thinking about with these changes. Do you like them? Do you not like them? What do you like? What don't you like? And also about the characters. What do you like about the characters? What do you not like about the characters? So let's see what you guys have to say here. We're not going to make this like a super mega long one, but I just wanted to gauge what the community's thinking. All right, game is incredibly fun with all the changes. Love fishing for that stage destruction KO. Yeah, they kind of added like a pseudo LF, right, where you like kill somebody with the dynamic... with the overdrive attack, and it sends them flying through the rocks. It sends them hurtling into like the mountain, and then it's cool. It's cool. They added like the special animation for that. New units are enjoyable to use and fight against. Nappa's mechanic opens floodgates for future villain releases like Baby Frieza, Cell, Bojack. Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of like character specific new mechanics, Nappa's is definitely very interesting because again, yeah, I think there's a lot of things they can do with it because it fits Dragon Ball, right? There's a lot of villain characters that can summon minions. The Ginyu Force, like what if there's a Ginyu who summons the entire Ginyu Force? Frieza summons Zarbon and Dodoria. You have Cell summoning Cell Juniors. There's a lot they could do with that, so I do like that a lot. Whoa, Billy doesn't have like a post where I have to click into it to look at the whole thing. Both the units are strong and feel good for the game. PvP changes are fun and actually make the game feel new. My only issue I want to see worked on is having Overdrive Attack and Rising Rush existing together. Just seems a tad overkill. Yeah, Overdrive Attack is very powerful. I don't know if I would say it's overpowered. And the reason why is because when you are in a high-level PvP match, at least in my experience, I don't know how often you're actually going to get the overdrive mechanic. Definitely not saying you're never going to get it, but I don't know if it's going to be a thing where like you're spamming 4 overdrive attacks in one match. I don't think so. I think the main gist behind the changes they made, and this is going back to their newsletter that they dropped. This was in March, I think. This was before the DB campaign in April, when they said their main goal moving forward with new character releases is to avoid the super long combo meta, to avoid essentially making one mistake and then, essentially losing off of that. That was for character design. But this battle system change really kind of feels in line with that, because to me, this new battle system change, especially the overdrive mechanic, the overcharge mechanic, the fact that you get overdrive for being hit, the fact that you get overdrive for losing characters kind of actually almost feels like an anti-long combo mechanic in itself. So not only have they built that philosophy into the character design, but they've also built it into the design of the battle system itself. So the entire game has changed around disincentivizing doing super long combos with charge stepping and sidestepping. And you can see this with a character like Kaioken Goku as well. Kaioken Goku enters the battlefield, he has 5 counts of cover null, and he's drawing all these cards, but the safest way to actually use all those cards is just instead of, sidestepping and charge stepping traditionally, you just spam the cards. You just spam them out, get all the damage in, get all the cards in, get your Dragon Balls, and that's the combo. And it's also going to, if you get more damage in with less cards, it's going to contribute less to your opponent building up that overdrive gauge. So I kind of do like that philosophy. It's, we don't want you sitting there through a 25 card combo and not being able to play the game. So we're going to give you a bit of an advantage when it comes to the overdrive mechanic if your opponent is going to just be constantly hitting you over and over and over again. They're okay, but they didn't consider how releasing these new characters affects the DK Mario Sacred Timeline. Yeah, that's crazy. I saw that they did I will be playing the Donkey Kong Bonanza game on the channel. We will be streaming that game. They did like a Nintendo Direct about that game, And I actually didn't watch it because recently, when it comes to, this is obviously going to be off topic here, but when it comes to like new games and studios and publishers showing off like new games and talking about new games, a lot of times I feel like they actually show way too much about the new stuff. So recently I've actually stopped tuning in to like showcases and previews of new games just because I don't want to get spoiled on too many things. So I actually didn't watch the DK Bonanza Nintendo Direct, but apparently there's like a Mario timeline shakeup that happened. So I'm not really one to care about the Mario timeline, but there was some interesting talk about that on the timeline, but I'm not really super plugged into that. Clearly Donkey Kong Bonanza's in the Fallen Hero timeline, yeah. All right, let's open up Glow's message. Goku's a good unit to help deal with yellows we have. Vegeta is a good glue unit for his teams. Yeah, yep. PvP changes are fun for now, but once the honeymoon phase leaves, we can evaluate how healthy they are for the game. Overall, pretty solid part 2 and probably one of the best we've had, 8/9 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think even if they don't end up being the healthiest for the game, which I don't think is the case, I think they actually are pretty well balanced, at least in my experience so far. I think they should be open to making changes, right? I mean, we've seen, if you look at the past like year of this game, starting from the 6th anniversary through now, in the past 12-month span, I think it's fair to say they've been the most open to changing things with the game we've ever seen. Right? We've had like multiple battle system adjustments and updates and changes within the past 12 months than we've seen ever. So I think that is a good thing, right? There was a span of like 2 or 3 years where they didn't touch the battle system at all. Like, I think it was like they implemented Quick Attack after the 4th anniversary, and then like basically up until the 6th anniversary, what changed with the battle system? Basically nothing. Nothing changed with the battle system, basically, right? So I think if you look at the changes that were made between the 6th anniversary and right now, this year-long span, they have been very proactive with changing the battle system and making adjustments that they feel is helpful to the game. So I am pretty hopeful that if there is like a pretty apparent too strong mechanic, or something isn't working as intended, or people are using a mechanic in a way that they didn't intend to be used, they'll probably step in and change it, but we'll see. Let me cross out of that. Overdrive is insane, and defeating opponents with it essentially gives every character access to an LF-like finisher. Really cool. That being said, there is virtually no difference between land and ground battles. The transition is neat, but Overdrive is the bonus of the update, or the bones of the update. So I think they're going to be adding more incentive to be fighting in the air or in the ground later on. I think people don't really, I mean, it's again, like, I think Iron is technically correct here when he's like, oh, there's not really a huge incentive or difference between fighting in the air and fighting in the ground, but the overdrive mechanic is built into these dynamic area battles. And that's something that I think people were missing, because I've seen people like, oh, they should have just introduced the overdrive mechanic and then the ground battle system later. But that's, I mean, the overdrive system is built into the dynamic area battles, because the entire point of the overdrive attack is to be hitting your opponent into the air or into the ground. Like, you can use the overdrive attack to change where you're fighting. And that is also like a point of the overdrive attack. It's not just to do damage. Obviously, that's the main function of it. But if you notice, when you're choosing between health and damage, it's not just randomly, you know, damage is on top all the time and health is on the bottom all the time. The top one is choosing the air route, and the bottom one is choosing the ground route. So that is a way to change where you're sending the fight, right? So that is an application of the overdrive attack. But, I mean, we do have a bit of an incentive right now, right? Vegeta gets, like, the extra blast attack with the arts card in the air. Goku gets the extra strike card attack while on the ground, so they started doing it a little bit. I would agree there's not really a ton of incentive right now, but there also are the scenery change attacks. I don't even know what to really call them. The background changing attacks, where you can tackle somebody or quick attack somebody and then follow up by hitting them into the air or follow up by hitting them into the ground. And that actually is pretty important, and it's pretty indicative of what they want to achieve with this update, because that actually does a lot of damage, right? You hit somebody from the air into the ground off of like a quick attack, that's a lot of damage they're taking. That does a lot, especially with a character. Think about like Ultra Cell. Ultra Cell hits you with a tackle and then slams you into the ground. He's nullifying your endurance on that. right? So that is a legitimate threat that a character like Ultra Cell can present to you if he's just going to be hitting you from the air into the ground, and all of a sudden half your HP is gone. And if he's a character that's nullifying endurance at all times, I mean, that's like a legitimate, like, you get tackled by Cell and you could die. So I don't think there's no incentive to fighting on the ground, and there's no incentive for ground battles to exist right now. But I think as we move forward, we definitely will see new characters that have some kind of extra benefits for fighting in the air, fighting on the ground. Like, I could definitely see, like, I don't know, a Super Saiyan 3 Goku, right? I'm just picturing the Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Majin Buu. Like, basically the green, obviously this is not going to happen because we just got this character, but the green transforming Super Saiyan 2 into Super Saiyan 3 Goku. That fight that Goku had against Buu was in the air. So I'm just kind of using him as a template here, but I can imagine, like, we get a Super Saiyan 3 Goku that fought Fat Buu, and he gets like 50% extra damage inflicted while fighting in the air or something as part of his unique ability. I could definitely see stuff like that happening moving forward. Ground battles feel very fresh despite them not actually doing anything for now other than minor buffs on some held cards. Yeah, but it's also just the fact that you can, again, you can switch between the two sceneries and get the bit of extra damage by doing that. It's also, it also affects the overdrive attack as well. I dig the overdrive and charge attack system, really fun. The new characters are a little bit bland, but they are fun to play. Significant improvement over part 1. Yes, this is, dude, I will ask the $1 million question for like the 5th time. Why was this not part 1? And to answer my own question, the only explanation I have is that it just simply wasn't ready yet. I'm gonna try and wait for somebody to actually bring that up before I go more into that, but I don't know. That is the question that I don't have a good answer for, but we can only speculate as to why it wasn't part 1. Oh god. I'm a bit overwhelmed trying to implement these new movements while I'm still trying to learn basic PvP. I'm turning into the full range strike guy. Oh god, Toon, we gotta work on this. Otherwise, it's been super fun doing all the new events and rolling them godly equips. Tickets suck, by the way. Yeah, dude, me and Toon combined have pulled like 3 or 4 copies of the units off of tickets. Yeah, tickets suck, dude. 1800 Z power for one pull off of tickets. I think collectively we've probably pulled like 6400 or whatever, like 7200 Z power of characters from tickets. Like, yeah, tickets suck, dude, for sure. PvP feels enjoyable again. I know the character choices is not hype for many people, but man, I'm definitely taking part 2 over part 1 any day. As a player who has been playing the game for 7 years, the freshness really made me enjoy the game again. Big W part 2. Yeah, I mean, again, I mentioned this in a prior video, but sometimes it is worth just changing things for the sake of changing them because it brings a new sense of freshness to the game. Again, there was like a 2-year span where they did not touch the battle system at all. And even though the battle system, I would argue, was pretty good back then, I don't really think there were any major issues with the battle system. Like, they implemented quick attack, and, you know, since then there was like a 2-year span where they really didn't change much of the game's battle system. It was decent, but after 2 years of nothing changing, they gotta change something, right? Even if the battle system itself is technically not that bad. So sometimes them just changing things for the sake of changing things is good. I don't think the changes they made this time are just quote unquote for the sake of changing things. I actually think they serve to move the game in a positive way, or move the game forward in a positive way. This is what I talked about earlier a little bit when I said I think a lot of these changes are there to disincentivize long combos. I think the changes also were implemented to disincentivize passive play. I think the fact that they added that like super tackle is pretty interesting. The fact that you can't just sit in the back with UI Goku and just, you know, farm your Dage and cheap counters with him, I think is really cool as well, because you just get super tackled. You can't do anything about it. So I do really think this helps people be more proactive with PvP, which also feels really nice. All in all, it's amazing. Characters are fun to use and balanced, fun to fight, and ground battle mode is groundbreaking, pun intended. I just wish that overdrive attack was a bit more balanced. I think it does too much damage and heals too little. If it did less damage, it'd be better. Yeah, I mean, that's still something I'd say probably is a little bit too early to say. I actually don't think overdrive attack is too strong as of right now. My opinion on this might change moving forward. I don't think it's too strong. And the reason why I don't think it's too strong is because I don't think it's going to be something that if you're in a match and you and your opponent both know what you're doing and it's a relatively high ranked PvP match, again, you and your opponent are both seasoned players, I don't see it being something that's just like spammed. I really see it happening once, maybe twice per match, the overdrive attack. That's really what I think, because you're not going to be doing these mega long combos most of the time. You're not going to be letting your opponent just sit there and overcharge the whole time, right? The reason why the overdrive attack exists, I think, is so that when somebody tries to go for an overcharge, you actually have to be proactive in stopping their overcharge. That to me is the anti-passiveness of this change, right? You implement this really powerful new mechanic that you obtain by standing in one spot and charging. And I remember a long time ago, I had a solution to passive play. And my solution to passive play was, I said they could try something where if you don't perform an action for a certain period of time, you will get punished by losing Vanish, losing Ki, and the longer you stand there and do nothing, you will just continue to lose. Like again, maybe you get cards destroyed, maybe you lose Ki, some kind of system to disincentivize you from sitting there and doing nothing. And that was a proposal that I had for making passive play less incentivized by the game. This, in turn, is basically doing that. The overdrive attack is basically an anti-passive system, because if you sit there and do nothing, guess what your opponent's going to do? They're basically going to farm an overdrive attack and just basically have another rush to use. So if you sit there and do nothing, you are getting punished because your opponent is able to take advantage of that. So I don't think the overdrive attack right now is too good, because the overdrive attack existing in the game by itself is a way to disincentivize passive play. So we'll see. Again, it's still super early. I've only had a day and a half. I'm recording this a day and a half after the characters dropped. Only had a day and a half to test these mechanics out, test the characters out. So maybe my opinion will change. But as of right now, I don't think the overdrive attack is too strong. I think it's not something you're going to be seeing as often as you are right now. I think it's just people being unfamiliar with the system and still getting acclimated to how things work, but we'll see. This is, in my opinion, the best update of all time. I've never had so much in the game. I've never had so much fun in the game. I also think that having another way to initiate with the super tackle helps balance auto-dodging gauges like UIs. Character picks for part 2 are great. Yes, not hype, but still fun. 10 out of 10. I actually would agree that this is probably the most fun I've ever had with the game. I just like the new, fresh feeling that everything has to it. I can go in a match with any character and have fun with the game, because everything feels new outside of the actual kits of the characters, right? You have a character from a year ago, right? You have like Purple Ultimate Gohan, you have reviving Nappa into Vegeta, like really any character, they all have access to this new system. So it's something everybody can experience. It's not just limited to the part 2 characters. Usually when new characters drop, like, you know, you ask people how they're enjoying the characters, and they're like, well, I would enjoy the characters if I could pull the characters. Well, guess what? The system is you don't have to pull the system. The system is in the game. It's fresh. It's brand new. Everybody can experience things. Something that I haven't seen anybody notice yet, I haven't seen anybody mention yet, is the Shallot Platinum. The Shallot Platinum to me is probably also one of the better things they've done in a long time, because you install the app, you have Shallot. It's something that everybody is affected by. I think the Platinum for Shallot is actually very good. He's competitive with some of the newer characters. I mean, you can definitely go toe-to-toe with like UI Goku with Shallot with his Platinum. It's kind of insane, actually, how good they made him. Don't think he's like terrorizing the meta, but I think he's a solid character. I really do think he's a competitive character now. Like, Shallot with the Platinum equipment is very solid. So that is also a very big W of part 2. So yeah, I think they've done a really, really good job in part 2. Aside from the annoying players in PvP, I'm enjoying the game more than I have in a year. The new dynamic area mechanic is great, but I feel like they can explore more with this, like actual stage destruction. I do like the Vegeta and Goku animations, but Anniversary Cyberman is real. Yeah, I think, again, this goes hand in hand with what I was talking about with the Nappa mechanic earlier. The entire stage, I guess we can call it the stage destruction, the dynamic area battles. This is like a canvas they can use to paint pictures moving forward. There's a million custom animations I can think of that they could do involving the new like ground battle system, the new maps, the way maps are used right now. Something that just comes to mind right away. Again, I will use this example probably forever, but Dragon Ball Z Movie 8, Broly slamming Vegeta into the rock. He creates like that divot in the rock. That could be part of a system that or part of a kit for Broly. Maybe Broly has unique animations. Maybe there's a final form Frieza who blows up Namek, and specifically when you're fighting on Namek with Frieza, maybe he gets like a buff that he could do like a screen wide AoE attack. Like, I don't know, there's a lot they could do, right? There's just infinite choices and options that can happen as a result of them implementing this mechanic. So I think I am looking at this very positively, and I think this could just add a lot to the game overall. Alrighty. Actually having a blast. I don't like that we've gotten so many LF Goku and Vegetas this year. That is a valid point. I think this is fair. Part 1 being Goku and Vegeta, and then part 2 being Goku and Vegeta. I mean, I get it. I get it. I will just, last year we got Goku and Vegeta part 1, Goku and Vegeta part 1, double Goku and Vegeta part 1, right? And then we got God Goku in part 2. So there usually are a lot of Gokus. Hey, Legends Fest part 2, we got double Goku, right, for part 2. So I don't like we've gotten so many LF Goku and Vegetas this year, but with the meta being so diverse and the game just being fun, it's a complete afterthought. I mean, I was tearing through PvP with UG4, Kaioken, and Tien Chaozu. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think there are a lot of viable characters right now, too, which is also really good. That is a viable criticism, though. There's a lot of Goku and Vegetas. Good thoughts and opinions so far from me. The character choices to the overall presentation, I don't know why they didn't do Great Ape, though. It seemed like he was coming with ground battles. Does seem like they didn't have enough time to push it out for part 1, but still glad we got it. Yes. I think this is probably what I am thinking as well. The fact that they did not push this for part 1 most likely to me means that they wanted to have it for part 1, but they just didn't have enough time to perfect this, which honestly probably is a management error. I would boil it down to. If you're telling me, because they even said this in the Legends information, Tani said this has been something they've been working on for years, is this dynamic area battle system. If you have been working on this system for years, and then for the 7th anniversary, you missed part 1 by 3 weeks, right? Because there's basically a 3-week gap in between part 1 and part 2, right, for the anniversary. You've been working on this thing for 2 years, 3 years, however long it's been, right? And you're telling me you can't push this up 3 weeks ahead to hit part 1 of the anniversary? You have to delay it 3 weeks to part 2? It seems a little weird, and if that's the case, then that for me definitely is just like a mishap on the management side of the game. That you have to, like, you need this extra 3 weeks to get the thing out on time. Maybe they were ready to do it for part 1. Maybe they had it all set. Maybe they've got animations for like UI Goku and Evolution Blue Vegeta that specifically interact with the dynamic area battle system, and maybe now they're going to save them for the next iterations of the characters. But for whatever reason, something popped up right before the beginning of the anniversary, and there was an issue, and they had to push it back to part 2, and they couldn't implement it in time. I don't know what the story is, but I am with you, and I think everybody else is with you in saying, why was this not part 1? Because that would have made things a lot more exciting. In terms of the Great Ape thing, remember, there still is one update left, major update left, that's going to release at some point this year. We don't know when, but Tani said it's happening at some point during the 7th anniversary year, which anytime between now and December 31st, which I actually probably am thinking it's going to be Legends Fest, whatever the next massive thing is. It makes sense that they would save like the last massive change that's coming with this like overhaul of Legends. It would come with Legends Fest, but we'll see. I think it's not out of the question that it could be giant characters. And I think when you look at how the game looks on the ground, giant characters now all of a sudden make a lot more sense. Refreshing for the older players, but I feel like Overdrive wasn't necessary to be added since we already have Rising Rush that would kill the opponent. Again, I gave my opinion on Overdrive. I think Overdrive is there as an anti-passive mechanic, because if you don't initiate, then the person just farms it for free. It's basically the Overdrive mechanic. I guess what you can think about it is if you don't attack the enemy player for a while, they just start getting Dragon Balls. That is basically what the Overdrive mechanic is it not? Really does make Legends feel new again, and these new characters make it feel like an anniversary. Some things are lacking, like the new Raid Tomorrow, like the new Raid Tomorrow no Zenkai story, but it really feels like Legends 2.0 fixed the crashing place. I have definitely noticed some performance issues I use an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and even on my iPhone 15 Pro Max, after I record the game for a while, and we're talking like multiple hours in a row, on the ground with like all the dust clouds and how many particles there are in the game now, I definitely do feel like there are some frame drops. My phone definitely gets heated up. I actually I have found that if I take my phone out of my case, my phone is in a pretty bulky case that I think actually hurts the airflow. If I take my phone out of my case, I actually have noticed that a lot of those frame issues go away. So if you guys have like a big bulky case, I have an OtterBox case, for those of you who know what that is. If you have like a big bulky case on your phone and you realize that sometimes your phone might overheat and you get some frame drops, try maybe taking your phone out of your case, and it could help airflow a little bit, because I think overheating is probably the cause of that. But I think the Zenkai thing, we'll see, right? They didn't announce a Zenkai. Does it necessarily mean they're not going to do one? No. I don't know. We'll see. I think if they don't do a Zenkai until the Part 3 character comes out, it probably is going to be a little bit disappointing, but nothing is going to take away from how massive this update is and how much it's changed the game. All right. I love Overdrive so much and the whole idea behind ground battles. My only issue is just the sheer damage Overdrive does in most cases. Yeah, this is going to be a common thing, I think. Again, I'm going to chalk this up right now to people just not really understanding how the system works. Once people get more acclimated to how the system works, I think people are probably going to pull back on this a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's too early to say. It's a miniature Rising Rush that seemingly deletes your opponents half the time. It's mostly just going to deal with type advantage. I think typing is much more important now than it used to be, right? If you overdrive attack with a green character and then you swap into a purple, the overdrive attack is not really going to do much damage. It's not, and it's also going to be star dependent as well. Like the higher stars your characters are, the more bulky your characters are going to be. And like that seems like an obvious statement, but the way that the star system works in this game is if both characters that are fighting are 3 stars, more damage is going to be dealt between those characters in terms of percentage of max HP than if both characters were 14 stars. So at 14 stars, when 2 characters are attacking each other, there's going to be overall less percentage of HP damage lost. That makes sense. I think there should be a bigger trade-off if you go for damage or healing. I could definitely see that. I actually wouldn't be opposed if they buffed the healing aspect of it as well. You heal hardly anything if you don't get gas, but the damage doesn't feel like it changes if you go for damage or healing. I think succeeding matters more than anything. Maybe make it so healing does a lot less but heals more. I think that way the damage is still good if you choose to go that route and don't get gas, but also gives you the option to heal more in exchange for much less damage. What about if the heal healed the entire team? What about that? I think that could be interesting. So much fun. I love Nappa also. Yeah, the Cyberman thing is really cool. This really is like the most innovative new mechanic we've seen this anniversary, right? The summoning mechanic, and they gave it to Nappa. I wonder if they were like, yeah, people probably aren't going to be super excited for an anniversary Nappa, so why don't we give him like the coolest mechanic ever? It's just summoning Cyberman. I don't really know how much of a fan I am of Nappa himself in terms of how efficient he is and how valuable he is. I think they probably held back on him a little bit too much, given that they weren't really sure what the reception was going to be to this summoning mechanic, but I do think he's a really cool character. I don't remember the last time I've had this much fun playing PvP. They absolutely nailed it. Characters are great. Dynamic area is fun and refreshing. Only wish I got this damn Cell Max animation. Bruh, I am... In terms of total CC used, I gotta be like 250,000 CC in across Part 1 and Part 2, and I have not gotten Cell Max. So that should tell you how rare that is. I like both characters as well as the 1% Sparkings, which I think is great that they continue to make very good 1% Sparkings. Now with the change in PvP, I've had more fun than ever. It feels so different. In my opinion, it's played more aggressively than passively. Yes. Again, I think that was one of the goals they had with the change, was they wanted to promote aggressive gameplay. And that's been a theme, again, that they talked about in the newsletter. They've talked about that in prior battle system changes. They want to disincentivize passivity, lose Vanish when you back up, you can't PV a blast at full screen. And now we have these changes. Yeah, I think it really is indicative of that for sure. Miles more fun than Part 1. I absolutely love Kaioken Goku. He's so insane. Kaioken Goku is ridiculous, dude. I've officially ran in or out of luck with this for 7. Yeah, this guy got the Cell Max animation. Must be nice, dude. Must be nice. I'm only 200 billion CC in without saying this. Maybe next banner. Maybe Part 3. Maybe Part 3. I absolutely love the new ground. You know, I think we'll probably make these the last ones we do. So this last one on my screen will probably be the last one we look at. I absolutely love the new ground system. I find myself wanting to be on the ground all the time now, and I can't wait for them to expand the stage selection in the future. I wonder if LF animations will start to expand now that we have a ground area. Yeah, that could be interesting. I mean, I don't know how hard they would go with that. Like, would we get alternate LF animations depending on what part of the map you're in? That would be insane. Like, what if we had an LF... Oh boy, I have to think hard about this. Like an LF Super Saiyan 2 Gohan or something, right? That on the ground, he has a different... Like, on the ground, he would do the Father-Son Kamehameha, but maybe in the air, he has like a different LF animation or something. I don't know. That could be really cool. Really fun but annoying to deal with the Super Tackle since I forget they exist. The Super Tackle thing is probably the one thing I'm a little bit torn on. I'm not sure how much I like it. I really had a lot of fun with it at first because it was just something different and something new. I'm not sure how good it is because if you just vanish it, it's basically like a full screen strike. Right? If you just go for the Super Tackle and your opponent vanishes it, it's a free combo for your opponent. So it's almost as if you are full screen striking. So I think what's probably going to happen at a high level with that mechanic is you're never going to go for it unless you already have max ki. And the reason why is because if you have max ki and you start charging, you immediately go into the overcharge animation. And you can only do the Super Tackle from the overcharge animation. I'm actually going to do a video. Me and Ryuden are trying to coordinate when we can record this together. It's going to be us just like testing things out with the new update and labbing a little bit with the changes. And one thing I definitely want to test is like how fast can you actually Super Tackle when you have max ki? Because I think outside of you having max ki, you're never going to use the Super Tackle. I don't think, because it's too slow, right? You have to charge, and then you have to charge for like 2 seconds before you actually start the overcharge animation, and then you can Super Tackle. And at that point, it's really predictable. But in terms of you having max ki already, at any point, you can immediately start the overcharge animation and go for the Super Tackle right away. So that might be a little bit harder to read, but I'm not sure how much I like the mechanic yet. It's going to take more testing. I haven't pulled any of the new characters except Nappa, but both Goku and Vegeta seem very good, and both have a use in the meta, and ground battles are a nice refresher. Yeah, I agree. I had my doubts. I wasn't that hyped for it, but the Goku and Vegeta are very fun to use, and I actually really like them, and the new ground battle is so good. Yeah, dude, only positive comments is so nice to see, man. This is the best part about like these updates is we had part 1. You know, I'll read this last comment before I talk about that. The new Vegeta, I love the Vegeta and the Goku def feel like top 10 characters, and the new battle system is very fun. The Super Tackle makes it to where you can I guess he meant to say you can punish UI Gokus from just standing there and doing nothing. Yeah, okay, so like you just compare the aura in the community, you compare the mindset that people have for part 2 compared with part 1, and it is just so different, dude. Part 1 was non-stop complaining. It is crazy. And I wasn't a huge fan of part 1. I really wasn't. I thought part 1 was okay, right? If we didn't have the leak and we got part 1, I still think people would have been kind of lukewarm on it. Obviously, UI Goku is incredibly hype. We only have 2 MUI Gokus in the entire game in the past 7 years, so he's not really an overutilized character. You know who was actually an overutilized character? And I don't think it's a bad thing that he's overutilized, but it really is Gogeta Blue, right? With 50 million Gogeta Blues. But, I mean, he brings in the hype, so I understand why that's the case. But strangely enough, I mean, UI Goku, we only have the new one and then the red one. That was the 4th anniversary. Yeah, they spammed Beast Gohan, they spammed Gogeta Blues, and they have not spammed UI Goku. So, yeah. But even with that said, again, we're at a point right now where we're comparing these major celebrations to the 6th anniversary. Does part 1 of the 7th anniversary hold a candle to the part 1 of the 6th anniversary? Absolutely not. If they had implemented these new mechanics for part 1 of the 7th anniversary, I actually think this surpasses the 6th anniversary part 1. If they had implemented the overdrive mechanic, the overcharge mechanic, the dynamic area battle mechanic, and you had transforming Vegeta and transforming UI Goku for part 1, it's unbeatable. It's unbeatable. But part 1 kind of was a low point for a major celebration for the game. It was very, very similar to part 1 of Legends Fest. People called it Legends Fest 2024 2.0. I don't think that's incorrect, but the overall mindset and the aura in the community for that part 1 was pretty negative. It was pretty low. People were pretty disappointed. And you compare that to what people are talking about and how they're feeling right now, and it's just completely different. And this is exactly what I was talking about for part 1. The characters are hype. The characters are exciting. Animations are really good. But what innovation are they bringing to the game? Not really anything. And we've got that in part 2. I think that really makes part 2 really, really cool. So you guys can let me know down below what you think of part 2 so far. How do you find the characters? How do you find the battle system changes? Are you enjoying the dynamic area battles? Are you enjoying the overdrive mechanics, the overcharging mechanics? What do you think about them? Let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.